Hello, this is Ferrante Frazier with another episode of Natural as F. All right. We're actually broadcasting from Vegas. You see it in the background right now. I'm just making sure y'all realize this beautiful background that we got going on here for our producer who said that it's a beautiful background, which is ATR, All Things Relevant. We want to thank this platform for allowing us to teach holistic health and healing. And this is what we need in the world right now. A lot of mischief, a lot of miseducation is going on in mainstream media. The medical experts, all the so called health professions, a lot of them are not in a high state of awareness of what's really happening in our communities right now, and all of them teamed up with the same information, all of them reading from the same textbooks, all of them going to the same colleges that got the same information, that's making them behave the same way, making them think the same way. You don't see much holistic doctors, holistic practitioners, natural health coaches, and different things being able to teach about holistic health and healing, or bring up the awareness of what's really going on in this day and time. So that's why I'm glad that ATR Media, all things relevant Black media, is allowing us to be here to give the community and all our listeners a better concept, a better perspective, a better standing on what's really going on here in the world today. To take off the scales from the eyes where you can really see, unplug the wax out of the ears where you can really hear what's really happening in this day and time. I want to thank all our listeners, all our viewers who view every week, who come here, religiously and learn about holistic health, and those who are applying a lot of our principles and concepts, our suggestions that we teach weekly here on Natural as Elf. We really want to hear your, the good things that happening to you since you started changing your lifestyle. You started changing your diet to more fresh fruits and vegetables. When you started going out getting more fresh air, going out and getting sunlight. Notice that we don't have much sunlight out here today. And I noticed in our area, we were told that it's raining real heavily. But when the sun is out, we neglect it. We run from the rain, we run from the sun. We're never out in the natural air. So we start suffering a lot of health issues. At first, when we're young, our body can deal with all the, mishaps of nature, even our lifestyles, our habits, because we have high energy. And that's what the first part of our show is going to be talking about today, energy. We're going to talk about how to maintain energy and how we rob ourselves of energy. We're going to talk about restoring energy to the body. Those things we're going to be talking about in the first half. And then when we get to the second half, we're going to be talking about vaccines and COVID. And we're going to be talking about catching COVID via the placebo effect. So you're going to learn all that in the second half. So it'd be vaccines and COVID. And we're going to talk about how this COVID could possibly be jumping on us, where we transmitting to each other through mental viruses, not actual virus where you coughing it on somebody, but through the process of voodoo, speaking it onto somebody, thinking it onto somebody, passing it by telling people, oh, you're going to catch it and all this stuff. So the placebo effect, thinking of it and talking about it a lot, can spread this unhealthy situation or reaction in the body through, mind control, the voodoo, talking, speaking, word of mouth. So we're going to talk about that in the second half. But we're going to start off with, fatigue and low energy, and how we become fatigued and how our energy levels get low. But before we go and start talking about fatigue and low energy, a lot of us need a little education on what energy is and how do we, what is energy? When we talk about energy, we can talk, most people know energy when they talk about their electric bill. The electric bill they get, in our area is Georgia Power. So we live in Georgia, and the company that provide us with electricity or energy to cut on our lights, to power up our toaster, to keep the refrigerator running, to play our radio, to have our television, bring us shows and stuff like that, is done through one power, which is through Georgia Power. Now, Georgia Power, they don't just hand deliver it or deliver it in trucks. This electricity, we don't store it up, anything like that. They run through these power lines. They run through these big old power lines when they leave Georgia Power, and then those big power lines you see on the highway, those big old power lines have huge amounts of electricity flowing through them, and then they dumb down. I think they use transformers and transform it down into lower voltage of electricity. And that's where you see them low power lines in the byways, like down your regular street in the neighborhood. And then those small power lines, they hook right into your house. And voila, you have power. All right. Now, this is the same kind of like in your body. Your brain is Georgia Power. It's the power plant that produces huge amounts of energy. Right? And this energy is produced more rapidly when you're sleeping, inactive, because you're saving it and you're not using the energy as it's being generated in your body, because in the body it is constantly being generated. The generators never turn off. So your body is at all time producing energy. The thing about it is, are you using the energy faster than you can restore it? So that's why sleeping, when you're at sleep, your body can regenerate or restore itself back into high levels of energy, because at sleep, you're not doing anything. You're not eating, you're not drinking, you're not running, you're not playing, you're not thinking, you're not working. You're not doing anything that requires energy. So if you're not doing anything that requires energy, that energy that you're constantly getting, this low grade of electricity that's being generated in your body, is being conserved. So you're conserving the energy. All right. So sleeping is going to be the ideal way to restore energy back to your body. So we'll talk more about that when we get to restoring energy to the body. But fatigue and low energy is the result of using your energy rapidly, constantly, haphazardly. I mean, you're wasteful in your energy. Now, we just talked about you get energy constantly. It's like somebody just paying you money constantly. But you're spending the money as they give it to you. It's like your money is going into a bag with a hole in it, because your activities, your habits, your environment is demanding payment of everything you make every second, every moment, every day. Your habits are demanding all your energy. They're demanding all your power. All right. Your environment is constantly demanding your energy. So you have none to conserve. So all your energy is being depleted moment by moment, second by second, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month. So you're always in a constant need or depletion or demand for more energy. But your body is only producing a certain amount of energy. And when you go over that threshold, then you start suffering. And that's the first stage of disease. We talked about that in one of our shows where we talk about the 7 stages of disease. If you haven't watched our shows previously, and this is your first time or your second or your third time, we've been doing shows for quite a while now. And you can always visit ATR Media, All Things Relevant Black Media, and look at some of our old shows, and all of it's whatever we talked about yesterday is still important today. Those things that we talked about last week are still relevant and truthful today. Things that we talked about months ago when they first started. Those things are going to be necessary. And the more you hear it, the more it can bring up your awareness of what health truly is. Right now, some of us don't know what health is. We are ignorant to what food really is. We think food is Burger King. We think food is McDonald's. We think tater chips is food that can nourish us. We go and talk about we need a snack to bring up our energy. But we're snacking on donuts and other so-called quasi foods that we call food. But they have no nutritional value. That which has no nutritional value is a poison. So unknowingly, we are poisoning ourselves under the term food. And we wonder why we're sick. Our awareness of what produces sickness is not in our state of thinking. Only until we become aware that that donut is poison, we'll stop eating it. When we become aware that the way that we combine our foods produce disease. But the doctor don't tell us that. We don't learn that on the television show. The news people don't enlighten us on that. They just steady telling us about who got shot and you know, all this stuff going on in government and different things, the war in Afghanistan and all type of stuff to keep you in fear and stressful, worrying. But beneficial information, bringing up the awareness of individuals is lacking in our schools, in our churches, and in our government. So it takes people to, you know, come out and make people aware, you know, but the individuals have to be willing to learn and be taught where they can raise their awareness, you know, have to be willing to continuously study natural hygiene and continuously study holistic health, where I can be able to bring this information to the viewers who follow Natural is Health. So I have to really understand the benefits of natural hygiene concepts, raising my awareness to what can create health in this body, study this human body so much that we know how to manipulate it and turning it into the best body ever. Now, let me tell you what I'm trying to say here. Let's look at those who grow food. Let's see those who, right now, I'm in Vegas right now, and they have so many, and I know some people might get offended by what I'm about to say, but that's neither here nor there. I'm trying to show you something. They grow a bunch of what they call marijuana or weed or herb or whatever the term you want to call it. They grow a lot of that here. And it's legal. You can walk in any store and pretty much get it. It's just like tobacco. It's how it's here. Now, I'm not going to say that's a good thing because that's the irritation and they got health degeneration connected to its use as well. But what I want to show you is that in growing it, we're only talking about growing it right now. You can grow some of the best plants when the conditions are favorable. When you know the conditions on how to grow that plant and you repeat those conditions every growing season, you will get the best, you'll say growth, you get the best production from that harvest. You get a great harvest, magnificent harvest, beautiful buds and everything. When the conditions are on track. Now, if those conditions change, like if you didn't use enough light, especially when you're growing hydroponic and you're growing indoors, you control all the conditions when you're growing indoors. Now, outdoor, You're not growing. You're not in charge of all the conditions. It's subject to the air. It's subject to how often the sun come out. It's subject to how often the rain falls. Now, when indoors, you get to control the light, how much light the plant get, the temperature the plant is around, how much water. You keep it from violence, no bugs getting around it, because and you keep the air flowing, so you got constant circulation going on. So you can control the environment of that plant, and by you controlling the environment of that plant, you get the best harvest. You get a beautiful, healthy plant. So the body is likened to this plant, and if we grow it outdoors, we're just subject to anything. And outdoor growing our body is not taking care of it, not being aware of how to properly hydroponically protect and live in this body. Now, when we bring it indoors, we bring the human organism indoors and start regulating all its, you'll say it's air and it's water and maintaining it from stress and harm. Then we start getting a better harvest from this body. We start getting better health from this body. But we have to have energy. This energy, our habits are toxic. Let's say, for example, let's say that we're eating a steak, a ribeye steak. Now, a ribeye steak is really hard to digest. Now, even medical doctors will tell you that when you eat a piece of red meat, it takes anywhere from 14 to 28 hours to digest. Sometimes 2 to 3 days to digest, depending on the digestibility in that individual, but no less than 24 hours. So here it is. That's 24 hours. Your stomach have to digest and create enzymes and churn. It's working. The stomach have to work for 18 to 24 hours. All right. Now, with an apple, you eat 10 apples. The 10 apples are digested in less than 2 hours. Now, the amount of energy you're going to get from those 10 apples is going to surmount the amount of energy you're going to get from a 24-ounce steak. Because the 24-ounce steak is not going to provide you with any energy. There's no sugars or anything inside this steak. It's limited on the type of vitamins and minerals you're going to get because it's been destroyed through the cooking process. So the steak is really empty calories that's actually robbing your body of huge amounts of energy because it is taking up a lot of energy for 24 hours. It's like you got the clock on, you got the radio on, and it's just sucking up all the power from Georgia Power. And your energy levels are getting low. Now, the apples, they're going to be digested real quick, and they're going to provide your body with huge amounts of sugar. It's going to provide your body with huge amounts of vitamins. It's going to provide your body with huge amounts of minerals. So this is not empty calorie eating when you're eating huge amounts of fruits. Those calories are going to be sustaining your body for growth, for development, and also for reproduction. So cells will be able to grow, develop better. They're going to be able to reproduce themselves better. When cells reproduce themselves better, that's what you got, healthy cells. You got vibrant cells, beautiful cells. But when cells are unable to develop properly, that's a cancer growing. If it's unable to reproduce itself, it's an immuno problem. So you got all these things that develop when our body is unable to properly reproduce itself, develop itself, all right, and maintain itself, because that's what the body does. It's a self-governing organism. Now, if we constantly, and that's just on eating food. I just show you an example of eating food. Now, chicken, pork, turkey, any cooked foods, all those things require huge amounts of energy. Snacks, unhealthy, unnatural foods, and different things that you get out of the convenience stores. Because I'm using convenience stores because there's hardly never anything in there to eat that is healthy. Even in these grocery stores, if you're eating in the aisles, if you're eating food that are in the aisles and not in the produce section, then you're eating food that is unnatural, and it's going to require huge amounts of energy to process and remove it. I'm not going to say digest, because the body is not going to digest food that it cannot use. It's only going to neutralize and remove it. So a lot of this eating that we're doing, we say, oh, my body is not properly digested. It's not going to digest it. And we thinking that some people wish to think that their body is digesting that food. It's not. It's only neutralizing that food. The body cannot digest poison. And if those foods are not ideal foods for human growth, then it's poison. And it's robbing us of energy, because when the body cannot make use of something and it's still got to neutralize, waste energy and neutralizing it, and then waste energy and removing it from the body, then that is a waste of energy. So we're robbing ourselves of energy. And if we constantly in a state of robbing ourselves, then our body depletes to a low level, and now we feel fatigue. Now, a lot of the symptoms that we're seeing from so-called COVID, or the so-called disease of the time, said as they don't want us saying their name. They don't want us calling out their terms. So we'll use suffering. The people are suffering today from disease, from sickness. We don't have to use the term that they patent. Those are patent terms. But we know it as suffering. We know it as disease. You get blocked when you start using their so-called Nike logo. You get blocked when you start using T-Mobile logo. When you start using their terms and their patent names and stuff like that, they tend to want to block you, want to sue you, and all type of other stuff. But we use something that's been in nature forever, in the world forever, sickness. No one can patent the term sickness. No one can patent the term discomfort, disease. Those are natural terms. So the world is going through symptoms of disease, symptoms of detoxification right now. And the average so-called health practitioner is unaware of how to look at the suffering. They believe that this is a medical issue, and that only thing that can remedy this is their poisonous pills. They unaware of how air relates to the body and its connection to suffering. They're unaware about water and its connection to suffering. If we're drinking clean water, the body reacts to this clean water with health. If we're drinking dirty water, unclean water, water that got all type of chemicals poured into it, like our municipal water, they tell you think you're drinking clean water when you drink that water out of the faucet? You think you cooking with clean water when you use that water out of the faucet? You really believe that? Go to the website. If you go to the website in any of your city and go to their city water supply and read about the different chemicals that they pour into the water. Now, they're pouring these chemicals into the water on the pretense that it's going to clean the water, kill out parasites that's in the water, and all type of other so-called things. Now, why is parasites in the water? Parasites are in something because there's filth in there. Parasites only are attracted to dead, decaying stuff. So here it is. We got filthy water that we're covering up with a bunch of other chemicals. And we're drinking it. That's just like when we so-called, how they do with the milk. They would call themselves pasteurizing the milk. Pasteurized milk, meaning that they so-called killing the germs in the milk. Now, this pasteurized milk, when they're killing the germs in it, okay, let's say that they seal up the milk, then they send it, warm it up, and then they heat it up to so-called pasteurize it. Now the germs are so-called dead inside the milk. And then they just ship the so-called dead germs that's still in the milk off to you. And you pour it on your cereal, or you pour it in your coffee, or you just drink a big glass of dead germs in your milk. So here it is. And then that's the thing too. When they can give you bad milk, they don't have to have proper handling of milk if they can use the so-called pasteurization. Pasteurization allows them to hand you off bad milk because they're saying it's pasteurized. They didn't kill off all the germs, but the milk is no good. This is the same thing with the water. The water is no good, but they saying that they then threw a bunch of chemicals in there and cleaned it up. No real filtration or anything like that. We add poisons to the water, the so-called make the water better. Oh, we put arsenic in your water. Oh, it's good for drinking now. We put fluoride into your water. It'll make your teeth strong. Why do we need that? Why are you putting fluoride in our water? That don't make no sense. All the other chemicals that they put in the water. No, fluoride is the only one that they so-called put in the water for a health benefit. All other chemicals that they put in the water, they say it's for, cleansing the water, purifying the water, killing germs and bacteria in the water. But fluoride is the only one that they put into the water to so-called be a health benefit that stop tooth decay, they say. That's something that we need to think about. Sound ridiculous, but at a state of thinking, to them, they sound like experts. They sound like, professional people talking at that state of thinking. But eventually we get to a point where it'll be where they'll be there like, oh, we made a mistake. The next generation will be like they were ignorant. They were stupid. They were retards. Just like we see, they used to come into our school and make all the children swoosh with some fluoride. Now that wasn't in every school. That was just in most of the black schools. And a lot of them, they made sure they poisoned us up. So they come in there making us swoosh with concentrated fluoride, poison. Now we look at what is fluoride. A lot of people are unaware of what fluoride is because all the education that's going on about fluoride. It sounds like fluoride is a beautiful thing that is harmless. When you look at that, it's in our toothpaste, that it's in our Listerine and all type of stuff like that, in our baby water. The doctors recommended and to the baby formula and all type of other stuff like that. Those things make us think that this stuff is harmless, but when we go to the MSD, if you go to the United States Material Safety Data Sheet, called the MSDS, the Material Safety Data Sheet. And on this Material Safety Data Sheet is a list of all known chemicals and their toxicity levels. And if you look up fluoride, it will show you the crossbone. It's a hazard, it's a poison, and it tells you that it should not be ingested. Now, if the government is telling you, and there's data sheet saying that this is a toxic substance, it should not be taken in any amount into the body. Why is government pouring it into our water? Why is it being allowed to be in our water? Why is it being allowed to be in you're saying materials or substances or stuff that the human people take in? Why are they being allowed to have manufacturing companies make products with this poison in there? If this is poison. But we're not aware of this type of stuff. And so if we're not aware, then we can keep on continuously indulging in poison or being poisoned. Now, there is some thoughts about why it's being poured in our system like that. And it talks about how Hitler used to put fluoride in the water in the concentration camps. It supposed to have kept the people docile. It would keep them calm. They wouldn't go in uproar. Nobody have energy to fight. It takes the fight out of you. So if we can keep you dosed up with poison, it'll keep you docile. It'll take away your energy. It'll produce aches and pains in your body that you can't fight. So if we got all these chemicals and poisons in our water supply, and we're drinking it, and we're bathing in it, and we're cooking in it, then those things will rob us of our energy, rob us of our vitality. It will wear down our body, and we can't associate it because this poison is ongoing poison. Imagine a wife who want to kill her husband, and she give him a little dose of poison every day. She don't want to kill him outright because it can be identified that she killed them. If she gave him a big dose of poison, you poison your husband. But if you put a little bit in his eggs every morning, if you put a little bit in his coffee every morning, if you put a little bit in his mashed potatoes every evening, if you drop some in his bath, over time it will lodge in his cells and wear down his energy. Every exposure to poison weakens your energy because your body has to react to poison. It has to neutralize it and detox it. It have to neutralize it and detox it. It have to neutralize it and detox it. This is an ongoing process that the body is going to do. It's going to continuously, when any poison gain entrance to this body, it's going to neutralize that poison, mean get it in the chokehold, and then usher it to the door and kick that joker out. This is a process of protection. This is what the immune system does. This is what the whole organism does, because the whole organism is the immune system. Every cell in the body acts to protect and defend itself. That's the nature of the immune system. So the whole immune system is the whole body. Some organs and tissues are more defined in protecting and defending, but at the end of the day, every cell in the body is going to defend and protect the organism from damage, from trauma, from poison invasion. And if we look at the term virus in all other language, it's poison. It's not no little itty bitty microscopic thing that can't be seen by the naked eye. It have to be x-rayed in thousands and millions of microtons and something like that. I'm just using crazy words like they use. They're making up stuff. But those things has no benefit. All right. So virus is a poison. And we're going to talk about that in some later show. But we're being poisoned all around us, and we are not aware of the poison. We're not aware that we're being poisoned in our water. We're not aware that we're being poisoned in our air. And, you know, all these power plants, all these cars and different things, all those things are weakening us. Now, it takes for us as a collective whole. Now, a lot of people say, well, this is just the world we live in right now, buddy. But if we want a better life and lifestyle and living longer and not suffering disease, we have to change those things. We have to come up with innovation that will create, a better, air in our society. Create products that doesn't destroy our health. We don't have to invent products and services that actually compromise our longevity, just to, have a little bit of ease. We dying off at the age of 20. Come on, that's not a good trade-off. But if we want to get back to living uninterrupted with pristine health and for up to 120 to God knows how long, we have to become better thinkers of awareness, how to create, products and services that doesn't compromise our health. We can't trade off our years and our comfort just to have a cell phone, just to have, these different products that destroy our universe, that, like how they're doing with plastic now, just to be able to carry around, some of us don't want to carry around a bag that we can reuse, so we constantly get plastic bags. So here it all, we trading off our health and our economy, the health of our economy, because we're too lazy to carry around a reusable bag. So we keep getting plastic. We keep tearing down trees to make paper bags. So this is something that we have to raise the awareness of the people. Let them know that health can be attainable when we change our state of thinking, our state of behavior. But the only way we can change our behavior is when we raise the consciousness of the people. But to raise the consciousness of the people, they have to repeatedly be exposed to a higher state of thinking. We got to constantly bring this information to them. They got to constantly come and seek this information. This information have to be yelled from the rooftops. And we need people who are going to support this information. We need help. Not only do we need help in spreading it, sharing it, we need help monetary to keep it up and running. Donate to ATR Media. They're bringing all type of good information. We sit here and send money to different places and donate to all kind of stuff. Donate to, Derek needs new pair of shoes. Derek needs a new hairdo, all type of stuff. People come up there, cash out such and such where you can get another car, another house. But to raise the awareness up, to keep the world living comfortable and eradicating the diseases in this world. All we have to do is change the mindset of the world. See, there's a mindset in individuals. If you can change the mind of an individual, you can change their behavior. But what if you can change the mindset of the world? The world has a mind just like individuals have a mind. And if we can change the mind of the world, that's the collective mind. That's the collective minds into one. If we can alter and balance it over that 51% and get most of the world thinking from a higher state, we get different behavior. Now, if you look at Noah, in the days of Noah, it said that man just was destroyed himself off the earth because at that time his thoughts and his imaginations were off. His heart, his feelings, and his thinking was always on evil. He couldn't do nothing but think evil. He couldn't do nothing but feel evil emotion. So all the mankind was going through that at the time. So the collective individuals that were living during the days of Noah, their hearts and mind was continually on evil. So the mindset of the people, the emotions of the people caused their destruction because they were living in ignorance. They were creating ignorance. They were professing ignorance. They were confessing ignorance. Ignorance was all around them. But when we raise the mindset, get the people's minds off of evil, get the people's thoughts and their hearts off of evil, and bring it to a higher awareness of the heart of love and the thoughts of purity, then we'll see change in the world. And this is where we're going into where we're talking about vaccines. We talking about, I told you vaccines poison and the virus mean poison. But if we look at catching COVID via the Placebo Act, this is, a lot of people don't know what the placebo is. And some people are aware of what a placebo is. But if we look at what is a placebo, let's give an example of going to a doctor and you're suffering from a health issue. Let's say sinusitis. Sinusitis is an inflammation of the sinuses. So you have inflamed sinuses going on. Itis just means inflammation. Sinus is your nose and throat area. So when you put sinus with itis, you get sinusitis. So it's just inflammation of the sinuses. But you go to the doctor and you're telling him, hey man, you know, I got this draining, burning sensation all in my nose and stuff like that. Now, he can give you some medication, or he can give you some water pills, some bread pills, some colored water. I mean, real water. And just put some coloring in there and tell you that's medication. He'll tell you that this is a real potent tonic that will change your sinuses and correct your sinuses within 2 days. You'll see progress in 2 days. You see your sinus inflammation disappearing in 2 days, and it should be over in by the fourth day. Now, he just instilled some information into you. He just spoke healing into you when he said in 2 days, you see progress. And on the fourth day, you should be healed. And he gave you something to put your faith into, this colored water. So he spoke it, and then he gave you something tangible to put your faith into. So now you go home and you take this water pill, this water tonic, faithfully. And in 2 days, you start seeing progress. On the fourth day, you see healing have taken place. Now, did the water actually work? Or did the body, the mind healed itself? Mental healing took place. The placebo act, or the placebo effect. Some psychologists love to use that term instead. But the mind in healing, the mind is a powerful thing. It can heal or it can cause disease. Now, a lot of us don't realize in this last couple of years, we can use the term, voodoo. A bunch of talking fear into the world, creating fear into the world. A bunch of the shows that were coming on at the beginning of this, or before this pandemic took place, created this pandemic. It prepared you. It started putting it into your mindset to think it. Now, if the collective people are thinking the same thoughts, you got Netflix. Netflix is accessible to anybody with the internet, and just about everybody is on the internet. So if the internet is exposing that a pandemic is erupting in a show, a pandemic is erupting all on the internet. So all it takes for the spread, the virus spreads via the media. This is the virus. The virus is downloaded via media and into the minds of the people. The people start believing that they're itching. The people start believing that they're sneezing. The people start believing that they're coughing, that whatever they touch is going to cause them sickness. This is what's being downloaded into the mind of the people. It's better to hear no evil, see no evil. You'll never develop no evil. But if you're constantly looking at the news that's telling you you're going to get sick, sickness is all around you. Everyone is catching this. You're no exception. You got to do this. You got to do that. Otherwise, it's no way to, wear masks all day. It's no way to so-called be social distance totally from everybody. So if your subconscious mind telling you if you're not in a bubble, you're going to get sick, then you're going to get sick. You're creating it. This psychologist, Dr. Amen, he's over in California, not far from where I'm at right now. Probably can go over there and have a talk with him. But he's a great psychologist and brain specialist. He one of the experts in SPECT scanning and stuff like that, SPECT imaging, where they can kind of figure out brain damage and how behavior therapy and different things of that nature. He's an expert in that. And we'll probably have some shows talking about some of his research and how to overcome, damages in our brain and how to create better behavior techniques where we can have a better life. But in reading some of his literature, he talked about a client that he had one time where the lady came in and she was having issues in her thinking. She wanted to be pregnant so bad. I mean, she wanted to be pregnant really bad. She believed that she was pregnant. The lady just believed that she was pregnant. Now, every time she went to go and take a pregnancy test, it came back negative. She stopped taking a pregnancy test, and she just said, "I'm pregnant. Something wrong with that pregnancy test. I'm pregnant." And sure enough, the lady's stomach just started protruding as if she was growing a big old baby in there. She started producing milk from her breast. She stopped having a menstrual cycle. She started having morning sickness. So she was having all the symptoms of pregnancy. And it's a name for this. You can look it up. I can't say it off the top of my head right now, but it's a name for this condition. This is a condition where individuals believe that they're so, having a baby and not even having it. When they looked and did an ultrasound, there was no baby inside her stomach whatsoever. And the test still showed negative, even though she had all the symptoms of pregnancy. Her body changed and conformed by her disbelief. Her belief created the issues in her body. It stimulated milk flowing. It stimulated the protruding belly. It stopped the menstrual cycle. It created morning sickness, all through her belief that she was pregnant. The power of belief. There's power in it. That's why you have to control. The more you can control your belief, you can create a better world. Or you can create your own hell through the power of belief. So this placebo effect, I say that those that are in power of the airwaves create this fear to sell off their poison. If the medical people have just lost a lot of money, nobody have a faith in the medical people no more because they're not correcting anything. If you listen to the average person, I'm not about to take those medicines. The doctor tried to get me on his medicines. I'm not taking that stuff. And matter of fact, the doctors are getting mad at the patients because they're unwilling to take medicine. The people want to eat better. They want to exercise, but the doctor telling them, yeah, that's fine, but you need to take this medicine because, see, the doctor can't get paid off of you exercising. He can't get paid off you eating right. He get paid off the amount of medication he keep you on and he sell to you. He got to sell you drugs. He got to offer you treatments. That's the only way he can get paid. But now, if you're not coming to him, you're not buying his drugs, you're not taking his treatments, he got to come up with a marketing scheme. Now, I'm talking about the collective medical mentality, not just that one doctor that's around the corner. I'm talking about the medical profession as a whole, the mentality. If they suffering because no one is buying their medicine, their drugs, and no one is taking their treatments, they're being sued because they got this opiate crisis going on. They're losing money. So they got to come up with something. They got to find a way to get back some of this money. They got to find a way to, make a living. What better way than creating a fear and a pandemic so that they can offer you the cure? Create a problem and also you have the cure. You create an issue and also have the solution. It ain't gonna take that long. We'll have you a vaccine in no time. Vaccines are poisonous. If you don't know it by now, you should see how it's affecting people. No poison is gonna make you feel good. Poison make you feel bad, and your body reacts to poison. It sneezes it out, it coughs it out, it diarrhea is out. It makes you feel uneasy. Now, wholesome stuff don't make you feel like that. Things that are not poisonous your body don't react to wholesome things like it does to poison. You don't see the body act like that to sun, air, water, and food. Water don't make your body react in a way where you feel down for 3 days. You have a big swollen lump on your arm where the injection was at. Your bones ache. All these different symptoms that comes after taking this poison. That's not natural. We have to become aware. We have to use common sense here. Or use some sense. Any sense. Might not be common, but use some sense here. That can't be healthy. It got to be something more to that. We have to awaken up ourselves. Become more aware of what's healthy and what's unhealthy. I talked about in one of my posts that, all these different corporations, the medical complex is a big corporation. All these different colleges, these medical colleges are big corporations. And they are together and they're apart. They're trying, it's just like T-Mobile and Verizon and all of them. They all supply, talk time and phones and stuff like that. But they have to make sure that they stay in power. If the defense people, the people who make weapons, make airplanes and army tanks and stuff like that, if they ever run out of money, guess what's going to happen? We're going to be at war. They got to sell off some tanks. If the army is not buying tanks anymore because they're not at war, if they're not buying ammunition because they're not at war, then these people warehouses start accumulating a bunch of army tanks and a bunch of ammunition. And they're not making any money. Their bank accounts are being depleted. So what they're going to do is find a way to create and coerce a type of situation where war break out somewhere, where they can sell off some of this ammunition. create money. And I'm pretty sure whoever in office is in cahoots with them. Just like you see all these people who are in cahoots with the medical industry right now. They got interest into the medical industry. So the people who are in government right now are medical heists. They are medical robbers. They rob the world through the medical complex. Now the next team of government officials might be those who rob us through the defense. The other ones, defending the country. They're putting on defending the country that they're robbing the kitty. The government got a big kitty. All your tax money is kitty. All your tax money going to the government, and the government so-called allocate that money to defend you, to protect you. Like, who you think buying all these vaccines and shooting you up? You're not paying for it. So it's coming out of the government kitty. But it's going to these people. They're robbing the kitty, telling you that you need this vaccine. And so they dose you up with poison, and they take kitty money out of the kitty. So you paying for it, but you're paying for it through taxes. You're paying for them to experiment. Now, the bank people, if they need money, they'll make sure somebody get in office who's going to allow them to rob the people through houses and lending and all these different so-called bank situations. All these corporations will put the right person in office to rob the people and rob the kitty. It's only when we become aware of this so-called stuff they're doing. They're doing it every 4 years. Every time a new president come in or somebody come in, there only are certain presidents that we have peace in the land, where we're not getting robbed, where the kitty is coming up. But we have to become aware. We can't be distracted in eating. They come out with so many different foods that we stay distracted in eating just toxic stuff. We stay distracted in music, fussing and fighting one another, that we don't see that we're getting robbed. The kitty is being exploited by these corporations. And these corporations are groups of people who are robbing us. And we have to wake up and get out of off a lot of these things that's distracting us. This Facebook, these different things that's just keeping us distracted. Get into some books and learn and raise your awareness. Get around people who have high consciousness, who are aware, and let that awareness, gravitate towards you. Let it bring your awareness up. I want to tell you, I do appreciate this talk. I hope that it was able to bring your awareness up and make you think a little bit. You don't have to take what I'm saying as word. Go out there and study everything I'm telling you about. You'll see it for yourself. But those who are old enough, my elders who watch this show, I know for sure you are aware of what I'm saying now. If you may have not been really tuned into it, but now, as I said it, it should make you more aware of how every so often the bank people come up doing their little so-called scheme. And the medical people come up every so often doing their little scheme. And the defense people come every so often doing their little scheme. All these corporations got their little schemes they come and do every so often to rob the kitty, to rob the people of the world. And it's so bad now that most of the nations of the world are in cahoots together. Once upon a time, they were, solo. But now it's like it's a world government that's robbing the world kitty. And all these so-called countries are in cahoots to rob their own people. They don't fight each other too much no more because they're buddies. But boy, do they rob their own people. I can't use my weapons on another nation because we got a treaty. But I can use it on my own people. I can use my weapons on my own people. That's why you see army tanks in the neighborhoods. They're coming around taking people for selling drugs with army tanks now. It's crazy. But we're going to see more of that unless we raise our awareness, unless the people wake up and take back their life, take back their world. You know, take the kitty back from these people. Put them back in the welfare line where they belong, and let them see how it feels. Give them a dose of their own medicine. Tell them they're the only ones taking their drugs. We're not taking their drugs anymore. We're not eating their poisonous foods anymore. We're not living haphazard where we have to pray and call to them for relief. We're taking our health, our life in our own hands. I want to thank you. Share this information as much as possible. And we want to see you next week. Comment and share here. Best of health and happiness from Savannah Natural Health, Natural to Self, Dr. Ferrante Frazier.